All right, welcome to If My People Bible Reading, Part 37, still in the book of Genesis, and we are in chapter 11 as we start this. Um, Before we go to chapter 11 in the reading, it doesn't take long. Naysayers always complain a lot more than people say thank you. Just remember that. Write someone sometime and just tell them you and thank them for things. People are really good at attacking and versus saying loving and kind things. To kind of give you an example, I already got some backlash from ministers and pastors who basically um, told me this. Uh, Bruce, you mentioned in reading 36 about when Noah awoke from his wine and found out what his youngest son had done to him. Now, Ham was the one that Noah was aware of. Um, if he was awake or not, he would have seen Ham in the room. Then he would have seen his other two sons as they came in and walked backwards and covered the nakedness of Noah. So if anybody was going to be upset about being on the covers off of him, it would be Noah saying, "What did you do to me, Ham?" But he didn't do that. "What did you do to me, Shem, Japheth?" But he didn't do that. He immediately said this. He found out. In other words, he knew. He knew that Canaan, his youngest son, which is his grandson through Ham, had taken back or uncovered him. So once again, it has nothing to do with covers falling off. That's just part of the evidence in a crime that occurred. It's a sad situation is the ministers that are involved in this, and there are numerous ones that are just taking a shot at me because I'm telling them they don't like the fact that I say they're institutionalized business making, they need to be taxed, and they're in it for the money. They're just, and a number of them I know have also said this, and I'll tell you, I might as well tell you this too, what they said. Why am I minister? Because I can get a tax deduction. I can also work a secondary job, and if this is my primary job, it's the easiest job that I know of. And I get most of my sermons off the internet and Google. Wow. And you pay them how much money a year? So anyway, I pointed out to them, and I know that they didn't do anything about it. They're not going to tell their parishioners or the people, their sheep in their churches this. But you can. We don't go off subject too often, but let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus chapter 18 and almost all of 18. And it starts off right there that the Lord, Yahweh spoke to Moses and said, and he listed it over and over again. And by the way, the pastor said this does not exist in the Bible. This uncovering and sexual relationships is not in the Bible except what you say it is with Noah, because you use the word uncover. There's no correlation whatsoever. Really? Here we go. Chapter 18, Leviticus. Um, let's see, where would it start? Well, let's start with verse 6. None of you shall approach any blood relative of his to uncover nakedness, as I am. Now, other Bibles say this: sexual perversions, not just sexual relationships, but perversiveness, or relationships with a person that is of the same blood line, close bloodline, is no. Okay, next one. Let's go to 7. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, that is the nakedness of your mother. Okay, means both. But here it says your mother. In other words, it's very specific. It didn't say that. It implied it with Noah. But here's the point. Yahweh already said don't have sex with your father. He said that. Now, how do we know that? Because now we go to Leviticus 18. And so he doesn't have to mention about the father again. He just says that if you have a sexual relationship with your father, or you have a sexual relationship with your mother, it's the same, because you see they're echad. They're echad. And I had to tell these ministers that, and they have no clue what echad meant. And they've been ministers for 15, 20, 30 years. They had no clue. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is Echad. The Lord is one. It's just that's why we're doing this. It's like, I guess I'll do this because, oh my goodness, there's thousands of ministers out there, and they, oh, okay, do another one. Verse 8. Let's go to 8. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife. It is your father's nakedness, the nakedness of your sister. Now here we are in 9. Either your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether born at home or born outside, their nakedness you shall not uncover. Verse 10, the nakedness of your son's daughter or the nakedness of your daughter, their nakedness you shall not uncover. Verse 11, the nakedness of your father's wife's daughter born. Number 12, you shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister. She is your father's blood. 13, you shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for it goes on and on. It's about lust, perversion, doing incredible sins. That's what's happened. So, Mr. Ministers out there, Mr. Pastors of all kinds of huge churches, and they say, well, what's the size of your congregation and how many people did you save this week? I'm allowed to have a few errors as long as I do good by saying the things I do in the pulpit every Sunday. Okay, I didn't know that. By the way, I'm looking in the Bible and I don't see where it says that. You get points. You get points. All right. Okay. Stay on track. I'll show you 100 of these things that you've been lied to tooth and nail by the institutionalized churches out there. There's going to be some major whooping going on when Yeshua returns. He's going to whoop on them, and they're going to take their position. And when they get into the kingdom of heaven, they're going to be at the very lowest for having deceived the children, the young people, and the old people who never did learn. They just stayed on the milk their entire life. They may be 85 years old, but they're still a child in the face of Yahweh because they just never got off the milk. That's a child. And for a pastor to do that to them, wow. Chapter 11. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. And as the men moved eastward, things keep going eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. And they said to each other, come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They used bricks instead of stone and tar for mortar. Well, that's interesting. Yahweh's all about stones, uncut. When they go out into the wilderness and they represent the 12 tribes, they go out and collect 12 stones. And they put those stones and they pile them on top of each other, and they may whitewash them or put something on them, but it represents a covenant with the Father. There's making of bricks is going beyond that. So already this is a bad thing coming up. Something bad is about to happen. Verse 4, then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city. Well, whenever you see the word city, just as today, interesting time to be living where the majority, I just read in the paper this morning and online, you got to really search for the truth because of the nonsense and the lies that are in the mainstream media. It's just unbelievable. But the NBC, CBS, and the other communist news agencies said the same thing. CNN, National Public Radio, what a disgrace that thing is. Holy smokes. Once again, total disgrace. And then they're pushing out right now, total truth news. Nothing but truth news. Really? Okay. They exist in these last days because they've joined in the propaganda of Hasatan. They belong to Hasatan, plain and simple. But here they wanted to build themselves a city. So when you hear the word city in the Bible, show me somewhere in the Bible when we get to the very end of it where living in a city is a good thing. Right now, of the 90 cities looked at, 89 of them had violence in the streets in the last 10 days. And here it is, first week of September, so last part of August. Not good. And here, for the first time in written history in the Bible, they're doing it. And what happens? Okay, they knew they're going to be scattered. They knew it because they said it. They said, we'll make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the earth. Why would they? So, in other words, they're intentionally talking to their little gods, little Elohims, little false gods, and the lies that are coming out of them, which is all made up stuff, is that they're doing the right thing, but somehow they know they're doing the wrong thing. Who told them that? Verse 5. But Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower that the men were building. Now, Yahweh, if Yahweh the Father came down, it'd be fire and brimstone, it'd be light, it'd be smoke, it'd be darkness, it'd be thunder, it'd be lightning. It doesn't say that here. It just says, but Yahweh came down to see the city. So, was it an angel? If it was Yeshua angel that came down. So once again, here's Yeshua. When you get those Bibles that have the Aleph Taf Bibles, Aleph Taf, I in the beginning, and whenever you see that in the Bible, it means that is Yeshua himself. The old covenant is full of Aleph Taf, which means he's everywhere. Much, much, much more in the old covenant than in the New Testament. Never heard that in church? Have you? Okay. Yahweh said, if as one people speak in the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Sounds like he's talking to somebody. He's talking to his Father. Come, let us go down and confuse their languages so that they will not understand each other. So Yahweh scattered men from there all over the earth, and they stopped building that city. That is why it is called Babel, because the Yahweh confused the language of the whole world. From there, Yahweh scattered them over the entire face of the earth. And do we have evidence that they were scattered all over the earth? Absolutely. It's stunningly still there. This is the count. Now verse 10. Now we go into, this is the count of Shem. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad. Now this is a pivotal point. Yahweh has established prior to this a world of people scattered throughout. Now he begins to focus our attention on certain people. Those who will remain under our reading and study until the end is revealed in Revelation. Careful study of Genesis actually details the same. Yahweh is smarter than we are, and so he knows that we need the entire Bible to understand his word. Why an entire chapter on who begats? And that isn't that boring? And when you get into Matthew and when you get into the New Covenant, you hear all these begats. It is boring. And when we do Bible readings in congregations together, some people just can't stand it. They go out and get some coffee or something, come back and pretend that they're really excitedly. But this whole thing that comes after that, all the way to verse 32, is the lineage of coming up to Lot and Abraham. The word Heber comes in, which means Hebrew, which means to cross over, those who crossed over. Now, we cross over into believing the Father these days. They crossed over the river in the crescent, they, in other words, to go from Babylon or anywhere down in the Tigris River and the Euphrates, you have to go north to Haran, and then you have to make a kind of a loop around and make a left and come down into Canaan. You can't cut across the desert. You're not going to make it. The water is just not there, to especially large amounts of peoples. So they go to this fertile crescent, it's called, and that's what Abraham did. Now his father went part of the way and stopped going. His father was into idol worship and so forth and so on. So just because you have a good kadosh, holy member of your family, that doesn't mean that the son after that's going to be another holy kadosh person. It's up to them. Everybody is responsible for their own salvation through Yeshua. And we'll stop there, and we'll see you at the next reading. That would be part 38. Shabbat Shalom.